Hey, real estate rock stars, welcome to the whole enchilada of real estate investing, the only podcast that serves up the full feast of street smart strategies to build wealth and take control of your financial future. I'm Lou Brown, and I've been in the real estate game since 1976, so I've learned how to make the whole plate worth it. Each week, I'll be dishing out creative financing hacks and proven systems that help investors build multi-million-dollar businesses. No fluff, just the good stuff, straight from the source. Ready to dig in and start making deals? Let's get to it. Welcome back, everyone, to another installment of the whole enchilada of real estate investing with Lou Brown. And we have got someone truly amazing today that has a tremendous background that I think you're going to learn some great things from for your real estate business. So thanks for joining us today. And we have Teddy on board that's going to go through a story about who he is and what he does and how he does what he does. And then we're going to get into some nitty gritty. So welcome aboard, Teddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Lou. How's everything going?
Man, fantastic. Isn't it a
Awesome.
great time to be in real estate, brother?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm enjoying it. And of course, I've been in this game for over 40 years, buying, holding, and selling property and learning how to protect assets and do all kinds of weird, wild, and wonderful things. So
Mhm.
tell us about you. What do you do in this weird, wild, and wonderful world?
Yeah, I am on the executive leadership of a property management ownership company. We're vertically integrated. Our company is called HH Redstone. We are based in Silver Spring, Maryland. I personally live in Kansas City. Go Chiefs. They're out. They're out. So everyone else can have a chance to win now. Um, but yeah, I come to you with about 25 years of property management and multifamily residential experience. Student housing and multifamily are really the specialized focuses, but our company has been around for 10 years, and we are just now getting into third-party property management business, which, I just joined this company just earlier in 2025, really just building a vertical within a vertical, really. So we've been managing and owning our own assets, more like collegiate assets, right next to big universities and institutions. And now we're ready to offer that same platform from a property management standpoint to other owners in the real estate space that are eager to get a little bit more attention and focus on the assets that they own.
Fantastic. That is so interesting and definitely something that when you can have your cake and eat it too, you're doing your own internal property management. That's what
Of
we
course.
do in the single family arena. We
Yeah.
self-manage, and most of our licensees from across America also they personally manage their assets as
Mm,
well. So always looking for ideas on how to improve in that world.
Of course. Of course.
Definitely property management is an interesting thing and very, very necessary in maximizing the value of real estate. So
Of
tell us,
course.
what are your tools and tricks and technology?
Yeah, we could just start it off with, the secret sauce, really, if that's what your listeners want to hear about, right?
Yeah, baby, that's what we're looking for.
The secret sauce. I mean, beyond anything else that you can do, whether it be student housing, multifamily, single family rentals, the one single thing that you can do to really elevate your assets at the end of the day is really treating your residents as if they are the owners of the asset. And I mean that kind of seems, kind of weird, right? Like, why am I treating the resident as if they are the owner? Because really what happens is you get an ultimate benefit from them taking investment into your property and then treating your property as if it is their home, which you want it to be, right? And so everything else kind of falls into place. Your reputation, if you're on a multifamily or a much larger asset class. But even on the single family rental assets, people talk and people refer people to maybe some of your other single family rentals. But really at the end of the day, my philosophy that I'm bringing to you all is the residents are the CEO. And when you treat the residents as if they are the CEO, they are advocates at the end of the day. They're advocates of your property. They're advocates of your success. And they, more than anything, is word of mouth and getting the word out about your specific investment, whether it be, like I said, whether it be student housing, multifamily, affordable, mixed use, single family rentals. It's all about treating your tenants, your customers, as if they are the owners of the property. And what's that mean specifically? So, Lou, you're an owner of properties, and you probably from time to time you inspect your properties and you go to your properties. And if you have a third party property management company, and or if you manage in-house, all too often our own people and third party property management companies in general know that the ownership is coming, know that someone from the executive team is going to be surveying the property, and they clean up everything, they make sure everything looks great. And when they come for their visit, everything does look great. But really at the core, issues are not being seen by ownership because they're only there for a segment amount of time. The minute the ownership leaves, the minute the executive leaves, everything goes back to normal. And it's not those people that we should be trying to impress. We should be trying to impress the investors, the residents that are on our properties every single day, right? And so, Lou, if you lived at my property and you were the owner, and would I conduct my property in the same manner that I conduct my property when you're not living there, right?
Not at all.
It's the dichotomy of, oh, I know the owner's here. Maybe I should elevate the style by which I'm managing. And then by you not being there, our residents should get that same sort of influence, if you will, right? And so when you use that philosophy and that mindset, it's amazing the elevated experience your property can have, right? And it's like part of it is I wouldn't live in something that I wouldn't expect someone else to live in. And so being able to stay on top of curb appeal at the very least, right? Yeah, that's like the lowest hanging fruit, making sure your property looks clean. And that goes for all the asset classes. Those are just some of the low hanging fruits that it doesn't cost you any more money. It doesn't cost you any more to be kind and genuine to your residents. And it doesn't cost you anything to use someone's first name, as you're passing them at the property and you say, "Hey, Lou, how's everything going?" Or maybe, "Lou, I know your pets' names, right? And maybe I know your family's names, right? And I'm asking about them. And I'm genuinely taking an investment in the residents that I serve, right?" Residents and customers today like hearing their own name. They like hearing their pets, and they like hearing their family's names, right? I have a son and daughter, and if someone remembered Fred and Ellie's names, then I would be like, "Oh my God, they've taken an investment into something that I care about," right? Can you only imagine versus just asking, "Hey, when are you going to pay the rent? Why are you late on the rent?"
Taking personal
Taking a personal
interest in the
investment in the
person
resident's
and
life.
where they are. Well, you are singing our song for sure. We
Yeah.
totally believe in that. We are certified affordable housing providers, and what we do is offer a program called the Path to Home Ownership, where we
Mhm.
help deserving families end up with home ownership regardless of credit or financial background. So we're very involved in our folks' lives because we intend to not only have them move in, but also to have a progression towards purchasing the house that they're living in
Oh, okay,
or a
great.
different property, as the case may be. And so definitely that ownership and responsibility of ownership as well. We call them homeowners in training.
Yeah,
And instead of calling them tenants, we call them clients. And we work with people. We have a twice a month meeting. They are able to
that's
join
great.
in because
That's
they're
great.
members of our program. and we're able to give them insight into ownership. And so definitely I love your approach in giving people an interest in what it is that they're experiencing with you. And hey, it's not a one and done type thing. There's a future relationship. And what you're looking to do is have people long term. You're looking to reduce vacancy. You're looking to reduce all the expenses that go with vacancy. And you're saying, hey, what can I do to engage, enroll, inspire people to want to stay with us as opposed to their friend that's getting mistreated by the landlord that they have? So I love that. I think that's great advice for everybody to take away from this, that do you have a personal relationship with your residents? What are you doing to cause that personal relationship? Are they members of the program? Are they members of the Path to Homeownership membership? These are the kind of things that you want to make sure that you have done in establishing that relationship and then keeping them in the property long term.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you should just give in to every resident's request and need and just, be taken advantage of as an investor. Especially, there are bad seeds out there, residents that will work the system and take advantage of the
Yes.
goodness of owners and what have you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having such a positive impact on your property that you weed a lot of the inconsideration out of your asset, and you're surrounded by people that care about your asset, want to make your asset better and create a great living experience for everyone at your community, not just, just that section of the community. It's like, oh, I want to live on that part of the apartment complex because I know that that's where it's great, and this is the troubled side, right? Want to create such a great experience all the way around. Lou, you said something that triggered something with me as well. You don't call them tenants, and we shouldn't call ourselves landlords either. Back to the medieval days, the lord was in control of the land, and you were at his beck and call,
Or mercy, as the case.
or at his mercy, right? He was the landlord. God forbid you did anything wrong to that. So, I mean, we really need to treat everyone with kindness and respect is what I'm saying, right? That's what ultimately creates such a living experience, a community, if you will, that generates just such incredible yields in regards to rental rate growth, NOI, minimizing expenses. That is the secret sauce. Now, it's crazy that it's that simple, but it is very hard to implement because there are so many different personalities, in regards to property management. There are folks that work in the office that feel like they are the law, if you will. And it's like, oh, you had a bag of trash outside your door, you're getting fined, right? It's like, where does the humanity and the mercy and the respect come in to that sort of governance at your property? So that's what I would encourage you to kind of relook at your standard operating procedures and create a community that benefits both the ownership, the investment, and the residents.
I love that. I love that. I think it's the right approach, and definitely
Absolutely.
there are many services as well that can be provided by the owner of the
Hmm.
property as a
Of course.
benefit to the clients that live there. And one of the things that you've specialized in over the years is to really develop a not only deliverable of the box of air, we're literally selling a box of air, right? Actually,
Yes.
we're renting a box of air. And so, what is it that we can also offer to our clients that give them the opportunity to benefit from that relationship, but also for the company to benefit from the value that you're providing and the charges that you can have for those services? What do you have to offer?
We are just in early conversations with a company that allows the resident um, to really get financially literate in regards to their financial future and really create an opportunity for them to learn the financial literacy that they need. They're obviously paying rent, right? And so there is an opportunity for them to co-invest, um, given the fact that they're residents with us, right? And so it gives them a couple options. By them being residents, they pay a certain portion to be part of the program, but the ownership could just cover that piece, but it gives them an opportunity to earn investment rewards that they invest, side by side with the ownership, to maximize their experience at the property. We're in early conversations with this company, but we're looking at implementing a pilot program to being able to do that. And so we're pretty excited about that. It's called Roots, and I would
Can you
encourage,
spell that for me?
or a root, like the root of a tree. Roots,
Uh-huh.
ROOTS. And so we're really
I'm
excited.
that old that I actually remember that series too.
And so it's a great program. It's like a resident rewards feature that really gives them some financial literacy, and there's an educational piece centered around that. So we're really excited in creating that partnership with them.
Oh, thank you for sharing that,
Yeah,
because that sounds like something we would be interested in as well. We also provide like a credit restoration company to our clients, and
that's
we get
great.
paid for that when our clients sign up for that. So it's income stream to the company.
Of
And
course.
more importantly, though, our client is able to improve their life and their
Mm,
lifestyle and what they're paying for things, because obviously credit card interest is linked to credit and your score, and what you pay for a car, what you pay for everything is tied in with that. So we provide that service, and we actually were able to affiliate with that company where we provide a service to them that then it became a service through their program as well. So that's a lot of fun, and
That's
I
awesome.
love the idea of being able to provide those things. Another thing that we provide our clients is reduced cost on their cell phones, and really a lot of things like gas and electric in the deregulated states,
Sure.
and their security monitoring, and their dish or direct TV, and on and on. We are able to provide those things to our clients and get paid for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'll give you another nugget of knowledge that we're exploring. And a lot of these are just cutting edge, like thinking outside the box. I mean, to your point, right? A lot of the property management companies offer credit reporting, renters insurance, and all of these are ancillary income streams back and revenue back to the asset, right? There's a portion that gets divvied up back to the property level. We visited with a company a couple weeks back, right before the holidays, Pivotal Health. They provide health related services directly to our residents on site, both in student housing and multifamily, as we are all busy professionals and students and whatever the case might be. It allows our our customer base, our resident base, to just have a better focus on their health. And if they do need something, then they're able to get really immediate attention without really needing to go to a clinic or,
Mm.
to an urgent care. They come to their residence specifically, right? And if there is a need for follow-up or additional items, then they can get that scheduled. But I really felt like that was just such a no-brainer, really, at the end of the day, right? Like if I dropped off my son or daughter at college, I would want that peace of mind to know that they have access to such a feature as a part of their rent or a supplement to their rent. So
Oh, nice, nice. That's very unusual and very highly professional in terms of being able to provide things that cause people to want to stay with you because your
yeah,
competitor isn't doing something like that. Yeah,
correct,
that's
correct.
very sweet. What
Yeah.
other benefits do you offer that also provide income to the company?
Yeah, one of the lowest hanging fruits is parking. Most of the time it's just an open lot, not necessarily divvied up in any specific manner. We see this more on vintage properties, not necessarily like garage parking or anything like that, but residents are always looking to be closer to their unit, and maybe their unit is in a specific place of the property. And so reserved parking always becomes an additional revenue piece, and just being able to provide that convenience of being able to park really close to their unit, whether it be to unload groceries or, unload luggage or anything like that, right? Like when you stay at a hotel, there's Hilton Honors, there's diamond parking, and then there's everyone else, right? And so
That's right.
we try to implement, a hospitality piece when we're looking at our residential communities, right? How can we elevate the asset so that, Lou, like when you stay at a 5-star hotel and you walk into a 5-star hotel, it feels different than walking into a Holiday Inn. Not that there's anything wrong with a Holiday Inn, right? It's affordable and it's consistent, to tell you the truth, right?
Yeah.
But when I want an elevated experience, because maybe that's what our residents and our parents are used to, and there's a level of expectation, and they want the 5-star service, your community should be able to offer that, given the fact, rent is such to a high degree right now. They're paying a lot to live with you. So the experience needs to match it, not necessarily the other way around. It's like, what am I paying for is normally the question when residents are like, should I move or should I stay? That's part of the retention piece. So with that hospitality piece, we look at parking, we look at ourselves, right? Well, we look at treating the residents as if they are the CEO. How are we dressed professionally? Is our front desk workers in PJs? Are they in jeans even, right? Or are they wearing a button-up shirt with a blazer and dress pants, right? It's the level by which you want to commit your property to, and that's the level that the input's going to equal the output, right? And really at the end of the day, it's not that we want to be a stuffy hotel, but we want to elevate the hospitality experience because we understand that they're making an investment into choosing our assets, right? Versus somebody else's. You stay at a Hilton versus a Marriott because one state makes you feel better than the other, or vice versa. You stay at a Marriott because you feel like it treats you as an individual, as a client, as a customer, better than it would treat you somewhere else.
Well, you're so right about that. That's one of the reasons we invented the Certified Affordable Housing Provider approach and offering a program called the Path to Homeownership, because we wanted to offer something that was different than landlording. And
Correct.
after I had been a landlord for some years, I said, I really hate this. I'm not enjoying this at all. This is painful. There's not, who am I being in the matter? What am I doing to cause their life to get better? And then I realized that I had done rents, and I had done rent to owns, and I had done owner financing, and I'd done cash sales. So I put it together in a whole program, and that changed everything. It shifted all the gears and who we become in the world. I wrote a book called Doing Good While Doing Well: How Real Estate Investors Provide a Service and Make a Difference. And so that book was geared towards being able to talk to the public in terms of who are you being in the matter, like landlords, for example, and also to lenders, and let lenders know and in the game of who we are versus a typical landlord. And so it's very attractive from a private money standpoint, and being able to get and raise money for your projects when you show them that you're actually creating something that's a benefit. So from a social standpoint, that their money is not just making money, but also making a difference in the world as well.
Absolutely. And your lenders should take higher consideration with the level of attention that you're protecting their investment with. And so I think that's a piece that's sometimes forgotten on the lender side. A lot of it is, what's your credit score? What's your experience? What's X, Y, Z, right? But they don't necessarily look at the human component, which I feel is very valuable to the protection of the investment.
Well,
overall.
you've proven that. You've shared with us some great things that you're
Absolutely.
doing to make a difference in your company and definitely giving people a very elevated experience in interacting with you and also investing with you in terms of that monthly payment
Of
that they're
course.
making every single month. What am I getting for my money? You definitely have underscored that you are providing a great thing. What else would you like to share with our folks today?
Really, I joined HH Redstone with the thought process of scaling and really being really methodical about our growth. We're not looking to be the biggest property management company in the nation. And we know that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different property management companies across all different asset classes, right? We are a property management company that wants to make a difference to owners that are trying to protect a legacy, right? We also have a legacy that we're creating for our families and our investors. And we understand how important that is, right? And so we want to be able to protect that legacy for other owners that need attention and focus to their real estate assets. All too often, they don't necessarily make a change in terms of property management because it is difficult and it does cost money to make a change. But if your asset is bleeding and vacancy is not there and you have a bad reputation and you're losing considerable amounts of revenue just because of the lack of implementing some of these simple things, I would encourage owners of real estate to really take a look at what's going on in their asset and whether or not a change is necessary. And we want to be that solution really at
Yeah.
the end of the day. Like I said, I have decades of experience on both student housing and multifamily space. There's only so much I can observe about your asset from a spreadsheet. We actually are on the ground in the trenches with your staff and on site and really coming up with viable solutions to elevating your real estate asset. We are not looking to be the biggest, like I said, and we are just really trying to create such a partnership, if you will, to the owners of real estate. I want to
Nice.
be that solution. And one of the things that we do differently, Lou, and I feel like we're kind of disrupting the property management space.
Yes. Yes.
We're disrupting the property
We are
management space.
disruptors, baby. That's what we do.
When we started considering doing third party property management, right? We're owners and we're property managers as well. So we're vertically integrated. We own and manage our own assets, but we kind of turned the question in on ourselves and we said, how would we want a property management company to treat our assets or treat our relationship if we didn't manage it ourselves? And the answer was the property management fee should not be directly related only to the revenue that's generated at the asset. It also has to take into consideration the expenses that are paid for by the property. And so all too often, if you're paying in student housing and in multifamily, it's anywhere between 3 and 5%, let's call it, right? And let's say your property makes $5 million and then there's expenses and then there's an NOI, right? And all too often what happens is, cool, you got me the occupancy, but it took you an additional couple $100,000 or maybe half a billion or maybe $1 million to get to that occupancy number because you overspent on payroll, you overspent on support, you overspent on marketing. Maybe you give out concessions and gift cards and what have you, but the management companies are still only getting paid a percentage of the revenue, whether or not the property actually is successful. So HH Redstone's philosophy is your success is our success. And so, yes, there's a base management fee, which would be well below market percentages these days, right? It's
What
just,
would that be?
it could be anywhere between 1.75 and 2% on average, depending on the lit of the property, depending on the issues that, we're observing at the property. So it changes, but call it 2%, while typical property management fees are anywhere between 3.5 and 4% on average, right?
Yeah.
And so whether or not the property is actually successful and cash flowing from an NOI standpoint, you're paying that 3.5 to 4%. And so in my model, you're paying only when I meet or exceed the NOI. Like I said, you're paying a base management fee, but when I meet or exceed your NOI number that we both agree on, when we create the budget together and we say, hey, this is the NOI that we're targeting, and it's on a monthly basis, Lou. So I might miss it in January, I might miss it in February, but it resets on that monthly basis for me as the property manager to try again to get to that NOI number that's set forth by the budget on a monthly basis for the month of March and April and May. And what you'll find is I'll probably hit it 75 to 90% of the time in that model. How many times you'll hit it outside of that model? Maybe less than 50 or 40% of the time, because that's not the focus. The focus is revenue, not watching my expenses. And so when you have a property that's very tight on cash flow and NOI numbers, and I don't hit it, but it looks like I'm doing a great job at it, what kind of misconception is that to the ownership?
Perfect
I'm leaving
question.
money, but I still have to pay full price to the person that didn't do their job.
You're so right about that. It boils down to what is the bottom line? What's the bottom line? It doesn't matter all the fluff and puff and everything else.
Correct.
If you're collecting
Correct.
on gross rents, well, thank you very much. However, what have you done for me lately? And so I love your model because you're looking at the holistic approach to the building and you're saying, okay, what's this building doing?
Correct.
And
Correct.
oh, by the way, my clock gets reset every single month. I love that. I think that makes perfect sense. And I hope that is a disruptor to the industry. It needs a disruptor.
I don't think
That would
anyone
be a
else is doing
perfect.
it.
I don't think so either. I think this is new, baby. This is new information. And it makes so much sense because for the owner, it's the same thing. What's the bottom line? I don't want to hear your story. What's the bottom line? I want to just see what you've been able
Correct.
to do to
Correct.
cause this business to
Isn't
occur
that cool?
this month. Yeah,
Isn't that cool?
it is. It's perfect. It
And I'll tell
really
you
is.
why it's important. I'll tell you why it's important. So I get you to 100%, and you know we're doing everything we should be doing on the leasing side. But if I'm not providing attention and focus, for example, to preventative maintenance, and I'm letting just even 10 to 15% of your toilets continually run, you know what your water bill is going to be? You know what
I'm familiar with the program.
you know what that bill is going to look like? All because you were negligent for the fact that you didn't take care of some preventative maintenance things. So it's a scale, right? It's like your revenue's up, but then you just lost all that revenue because you didn't take care of something so simple like a running toilet, or lights are on and you're vacant, or you didn't protect the asset from liability scrutiny at the end of the day, right? There are slips and falls and liabilities of all regards that can happen at your property. And if you're just a property manager that has blinders on and you're only focused about just generating revenue, you've lost 50% of what the scope should actually be. And
You're so right about
that's
that.
crazy. That's
I'll
crazy.
give you a couple of thoughts. You were telling us earlier about how you take care of residents. I call that preventative vacancy. So you're doing
Yeah.
preventative vacancy.
I love that. I gotta write that down.
You got to write that
Preventative
down. baby.
maintenance and preventative vacancy.
I
I will
love
give
it.
you credit. Whenever I use it, I'm going to say, there is this wise man named Lou Brown that said preventative vacancy.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'll give you the brand.
Thank you, Counselor. It's brilliant. And, of course, these are the things that we do in this business where you're looking at what is it, what services can I provide, what can I do? The other thing we do, and you might want to write this one down too, is that we look at not only our properties, but even our residents that have purchased from us, and we actually carried back the financing and we're the bank for them. We still look at what they're paying for property taxes. So we go through every property every year and we look for opportunities to literally combat what the county says the value of the property is. However, we're able to provide comps to prove that their algorithm is wrong, which it almost always is. So we're going back to the counties and we're saying, not this time, not us. And
Oh,
we're able to get a huge reductions. We just got a check the other day for $5,700
that's
in
awesome.
refund from the county because they overpriced our property and we were able to prove it. So it's just nice to be able to look at that holistic thing. And you're thinking very correctly that it's not just the gross rent, it's the net income that really does matter at the end of the day, whether these buildings are producing or not. I love that.
Property management really should be, we want our owners of real estate to feel like we have an equity stake in the deal, even though we don't. But I want them to feel like our money is on the line because really the sweat equity and the property management fee is on the line. I want them to feel like we are a JV partner, that we have equity in the deal. I want them to feel like this asset is ours. And you can only operate to that level of degree, Lou, when you think like that and you feel like that. And
Amen.
I mean, I need to treat it as if it's my asset. It's my baby. And that's the only way we know how to, that's the only way we know how to manage assets and properties
Wow.
that we touch. That's how we treat them
Well, I'm
because our
loving
name
this.
is on it. Our name is on it. And that's the way we need to treat it.
So the number of units that you manage currently, how many is that?
Nationwide, we're right at 24 assets, and it's spanned between student housing, multifamily, affordable, mixed use, and now senior, believe it or not. We just got into senior. We had a third party property owner that was on the affordable side, and they purchased a senior housing facility. And because of our great relationship with them, they were like, here you go, figure it out. Using the same skill set. Not necessarily have we ever managed a senior housing we have people on our team that has experience, but as a company, we've never done senior housing. But because we're using the same techniques and the same criteria and the same
Mhm.
intention, it's all real estate and it's all taking care of the customer at the end of the day. So
It's
we're
very
roughly at
duplicatable.
about 8,000 units nationwide, and that translates to a little bit over 10,000 beds if you're talking about student housing. But
Yeah,
the
that's
majority of
major
our
league.
assets are in high university, collegiate institution areas. We just closed on a property right before the holiday break at Yale
Mm,
University, New
fun.
Haven, Connecticut. Pedestrian to campus, but it's like a multifamily hybrid between student housing and multifamily, which is just fabulous. And what a great asset and a great historical town as well.
I'm loving it. I'm loving
Yeah.
it. This is so interesting. And definitely when you are getting into these things now, what's your limitation in terms of the number of units you will take on? What's the least number you'll take on from any given owner?
Yeah, I mean, if we're already in the market, I would say that that number is probably lower, but because we already have resources and the breadth of our
Mhm.
management, management model and our machine is already there. But I would say the minimum should be anywhere between 50 to 75 units would be on
Okay.
the minimum side.
Mhm.
And that's really just to make it worthwhile for us to kind of get involved and really make some changes that will be exponential for the asset as well.
Perfect.
Some of these services that just don't make sense to hire a big national company when it's just a small asset.
Mhm. Well, if somebody's just getting started in the business and they don't know ding about dong about real estate or about management or about anything else, what would your advice be to them?
Definitely find a mentor. And, I also help mentor other folks that are just now entering the real estate space. And
Mhm.
we talk about some of these just overarching philosophies. It's not necessarily real estate itself. All of that could be taught, right? But what you inherently have to have is the ability to be personable and kind and be just open and honest with yourself that this is something that you want to do and you want to take care of other people at the end of the day, right?
That's
We've got to take care of our fellow humans, and really at the end of the day, that's the name, and that's why we're doing real estate, right? We're providing a home for people, whether it be in the short term or the long term. So
doing good while
there you
doing
go,
well.
doing good while doing well. Providing a service that makes a difference. And
Well,
so
you are
if you don't
definitely
want to do that, if you don't want to provide a service that makes a difference, and you don't want to interact, if you don't like interacting with people, real estate's probably not for you.
and
But
management is not for you
that
either.
management is not for you.
It's funny.
But I would say I'm open to speaking to anyone that is interested in real estate. Lou, you probably echoed the same thing as well. You love speaking with people that are just trying to understand whether or not real estate's the correct fit for them.
That's for
So,
sure. That's for sure. It's not for everybody. And definitely entrepreneurship is also a very unique being on the planet that very few sign the front of the check. A whole lot of people sign the back of the check, but very few
mhm.
people sign the front of the check. And that's what it's like to be an entrepreneur, to take the risk, to look for the
Yeah.
freedom that it can provide to you and the rewards that can come with doing good while doing well. Teddy, you are amazing. You really
Appreciate it.
have a great grasp on who you are and what you do and the services that you provide. So I'm very excited to know you, very excited
Thank
to
you. Thank you.
expose you to our world in the whole enchilada of real estate investing. And what can we do to connect with you? What do we need to, what else would you like to share?
Yeah, I mean, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, Teddy Abdelmalek, and or you can reach out to me. My email is pretty easy, Teddy@hhredstone.com.
All right, baby. Well, that is great stuff, my friend, and definitely a great installment of the whole enchilada of real estate investing with Lou Brown. And I am looking forward to seeing you guys again real soon. Yeah, baby.
Thanks, Lou.
Thanks for tuning in to the whole enchilada of real estate investing. I hope you're feeling ready to take your investing game to the next level. If you're serious about building wealth, you won't want to miss the Millionaire Jumpstart. It's a 3-day live event that's perfect for any level of investor. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to scale, this can be one of the final steps of making real wealth happen. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now at millionairejumpstart.com and get ready to make big moves in your real estate journey. I'm Lou Brown. Until next time, keep hustling, and remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how smart you play the game.